Hello and welcome back to another episode of Don't Call Me Skinny. Super excited to be here with you today. If you are just joining us for the first time, thanks so much for coming here. If you are returning, thanks so much for being here. You'll notice another Monday. I did not get out a podcast. My weekend took a really big shit. I'm not even going to lie. Once my daughter came up to me and was like, Mom, I got these bumps on my jaw. And it was just really weird. And we ended up getting them looked at. They're lymph nodes, but man, I don't know. We're trying some antibiotics and doing some things, and we'll just see what happens. So we're not quite out of the woods because they're very slowly going down. But like today I had to pull her out of school again because she had a headache and some neck pain and things like that. So we're just trying to stay in it to win it, if you will. So I just did not. I'm lucky. Actually, I'm recording this literally at Tuesday night at almost 8:00 p.m. So I'm lucky I'm even getting this done. Anyways, enough about me. Let's talk about you. All right. We are talking today. By the way, shout out to my consistency, ruthlessly consistent ladies. Good job in there. I've decided I'm probably no longer ever doing a pay challenge ever again. They seem to like, I don't know what happens. People pay money and then they don't show up for shit. I don't know. I don't get it. Free people, free things. Everybody shows the fuck up. I'm not sure. I don't get it. So that's cool, I guess. But outside of that, super shout out to Beth. Great job, Beth. Really proud of you. I think you still listen to my podcast. All right. We are talking today about how your environment affects your progress, essentially. How does your environment, we're going to talk about multiple different environments, not just like your home environment, but lots of different places, right? And a lot of times, one of the things that we don't really consider when we are not getting the result that we want, but we're doing all the things, quote unquote, right, is the setting that we're trying to change in. And I say this because I've noticed myself, I'm going to talk a little bit about this today. Most of you know that I hired a trainer a long time ago, almost 2 years ago. I fired her now, May of 2 years ago. And I'm just really riding the struggle bus of trying to get down the weight. And I could point things at like, I turned 40 and it's perimenopause and it's all these things. And the reality is that my environment is significantly different. My whole life has changed the last 2 years. And it is not as quote unquote easy, if you will, as it was 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, when I was doing my own shit and my husband was away and my kids were smaller. Honestly, I find it much easier with them being smaller than with them being older. So I'd highly recommend if your kids are small right now, get on the fucking train. But outside of that, my entire environment is different, and our environment can really sabotage our results. And I'm going to talk about a few different client environments that we work through and that we are continuously working through. Just trying to get with it. So the first thing we're going to talk about is your physical surroundings. So like where you're at, like your home, your kitchen, things on your kitchen, on your counter specifically, your work, your gym access and things like this. So the first thing that we're going to talk about, is this physical place. And specifically, I want to talk about the kitchen. The very first thing I'm going to talk about is the kitchen, because the kitchen is the first place that we're going to typically go, or the pantry, which is typically close to the kitchen. Ours is actually like kitty corner from our kitchen. And I'm using just a closet that was not a closet. It was a closet and I've turned it into a pantry because I'm like, there is no fucking storage in this place. So anyway, that's what I decided to do. And so typically your pantry's near your kitchen. Anyways, and a lot of times we have various things left out on our counter. Like for instance, if you were to go into my house right now, there's apples, there's tomatoes on the counter. There's also a candy dish that has Hershey Kisses, which I'm shocked that they're actually still there. This is leftover Easter candy, which again, I'm shocked. We still have a bucket left of Easter candy. And I think that's a true testament to my kids being allowed to eat things, but they don't have to have them, right? That goes whole different ball of wax. Just because you can doesn't mean you have to. So anyways, so there's a various different things. There's a coffee machine on my counter. I'm trying to think of what else we have food-wise on my counter. There's a box of chocolates my mom and dad brought me back from Hawaii. They're like a really delicious chocolatey mint flavor. I'll see on the other side, what do we have? We have the knife block and the little spinny thing. Okay, so on my counter, that's kind of what we have. But sometimes if we've had family dinner, I might have like a folded bag of chips left out on the counter, that kind of thing. Anyways, this is the most easily accessible place for you to go when you're like wanting something. And when your brain triggers the fact that you're like, I need something yesterday. Like I need something right now. Okay. It's going to go to the easiest place to get it. If it's on the counter, if it's in your pantry. And we're talking a little bit about this in my habit pattern breaking series that I'm doing on TikTok. Also in my group coaching program. I'm doing a way more in-depth in my group coaching program. But I'm talking about it on TikTok and Instagram too. But anyway, so you go to the easiest place because that's what your brain needs. Like now. It needs it right now. Okay. This is where we go for the easiest thing that we can get our hands on. Maybe that's a handful of M&Ms. Maybe it's a handful of Hershey Kisses in my case. Most people are not grabbing the apple. For me personally, I have to cut the apple. I like my apple cut. I don't like to just eat it off the thing. So I would have to cut it. Well, that's extra work. Well, my brain's like, ew, that's extra work. And so just get the thing, get the quick thing. And this is where the mindless BLTs, bites, licks, and tastes add up. And they also end up getting your hunger cue all kind of off the whack because are you actually hungry? Right? Are you going through that process of asking yourself, am I actually hungry? Am I doing it because I want to do this? Am I doing this because I need to do this? And is this the best choice? And is this choice in alignment with what I want and my goals? Okay. So the best thing that you can do here for your physical surrounding, as far as your kitchen goes, is to put shit out of sight, out of reach. Keep things that are easily accessible in your face. Things like Greek yogurt, berries. The apples are great if you can just go eat an apple and like you're good with that. But berries, protein bars, whey if you need to, jerky, I don't even know. I'm like trying to think of like wreck my brain. Just things that are old, like cut vegetables. Keep like your, like I always do, like, or recommend, because I don't like ranch, but if you were to mix ranch with Greek yogurt, that would be a really great dip. So if you keep that ready to go and you have cut vegetables, bingo, bango, bungo. And you want to know what? I know that people will come at me for this and be like, oh my God, Sarah, this is so much money. But like you can already buy cut vegetables. You can buy cut celery, cut broccoli, cut carrots, cut all the things, and cut peppers. And even cut fruit. Now, I'm going to tell you, they are more expensive to get them cut, but they're fucking cut and they're done for you. And if that's the barrier for you to buy the thing that's easiest, that makes sense for you, buy the thing. Okay. How your home is laid out, right? Where your go-to spot is. Maybe it's your bed. Maybe it's your couch with the TV. Where's your go-to spot, right? And so instead of going to that go-to spot, maybe go somewhere else. Or put something in that go-to spot that will trigger you to do something different, right? So maybe you sit out on your TV. Maybe you sit out on your TV, like maybe put some bands down there. Or like, even if you're just stretching, like watching TV while you're stretching or moving your body while you're watching TV, solid choice. Maybe put your walking pad out there. Like there's lots of different things, right? But change the environment there, right? Depending on how your workspace is set up. So maybe you have a workspace, but it's really dark, or it's right next to the lunchroom and there's candy dishes out there even, right? Maybe you don't have a water bottle on your desk. That's something that you should be able, to get, to put on your desk. I would always recommend always having a water bottle, but keep in mind that if you're a person that is inside all the time, especially under like fluorescent light, you need to get outside sometime during your day and get some sunshine or even just some fresh air on your face. It increases your energy. Drinking water is going to decrease that dehydration. And you're apt to get more cravings during this time. So especially if you sit close to the kitchen where you're like maybe smelling people cooking their food and things like that, that could be a problem, right? So making sure that we always have some water, setting timers to get up off our chairs, those kinds of things. And then obviously your gym logistics. This is an interesting one. We talked about this last week on group coaching call. I have a client who's like, doesn't like to sweat and going to the gym is not very in her like it's not very close to her. She has to drive quite a bit to get there, and she works long hours, and she's just like, right? So it's like, it's not a matter of getting to the gym and going for an hour and a half. Like get in there, get a 30-minute workout or walk and move on. And this particular client has a walking pad at her house, so she could just walk at home. She doesn't have to go there. Plus it's getting a little nicer outside. Well, I don't know about Michigan. It's like 50 degrees today. But you could like get outside and get your walk in versus walking at the gym. So I tend to have to walk at the gym. Here's why. My environment. If I come home, I have a really hard time, like most people, getting back up. So if I just get my workout and my walk in all at one time, I feel really much better about my life. And then I don't put it off. Right? So what we don't want to do is blame certain things like, yes, it sucks that it's out of the way. Yes, it sucks that you don't like to sweat and that hurt. That's shitty. It sucks that you're probably going to be sore for a little bit, right? Keep in mind though that again, we don't have to go 5 days a week. Can we go twice? Because 2 times a week for this particular client is more than none, which is what she's doing right now. So we want her to get in there to get things done, get things handled. Okay. So, things like being, your gym equipment might be holding you back. If you don't know what you're supposed to be doing, might hold you back. You can join Basics on Demand. Both of those are in my show notes. It's literally $29 a month and you get access to the community. You get access to training programs already built for you where you get access to my app and you can keep track of all your shit right in there. It's wonderful. But those tend to lead to skipped sessions. So you don't go to the gym or you cut your workout short because you're like, right? So we want to choose maybe off-peak times. We want to go maybe on our way home. Maybe have something at your house like resistance bands or something so that you can do things at your house. So that way you can set yourself up for success. Okay. So that's kind of our physical system, our physical surroundings and environment. This one here is your social environment. And this one matters more than what some may think. This is where I'm struggling the hardest right now with having my husband home. And it's just been like this hard, like, I don't want to blame him because it's not his fault, but I didn't used to have to, we did not have to, I didn't go on 4 date nights a month. I didn't do that. Like he wasn't here to do that. I'm not going on dates with anybody else. And I did go out with people and I did do things. I went out for lunch and I went out for dinner. I even went to the dance club sometimes. Like those were things that I still did. They were just less frequent and everything was less frequent during the week. Right. So that's the other part of this. It's like, well, I was drinking a little bit more during the week than normal because he would have a drink, we would have a drink at dinner or whatever. We would have a drink and play a game and sit at the table and play Skippo. So your social system and your home environment do take, they do matter. So again, we want support versus sabotage here, right? So we want partners who might, who if you tell like, hey, this is what I'm trying to do, and they're going to be supportive of that, right? Or we don't want friends who are going to pressure us to skip workouts or just have one more drink. It's totally fine. Or the person that brings the donut in at work is like, just eat one. It's not a big deal. Like those are awful. They're not helpful. And I just tend to have a normal conversation with that person. Like, look, this is what I'm doing. And I honestly, to be so truthful, I've had this conversation with my husband. I'm like, look, I really need to buckle in and I can't be going out all the time. And I can't be doing all these things all the time. And, he wanted to go out for like our anniversaries today, by the way. He wanted to go out for our anniversary and do all this. I'm like, it's not aligned with me. So I'm not in alignment with that right now. We've stopped drinking during the week. So I'm like, this is too much. And if we're not doing this during the week, so there's no more drinking during the week. Things like that, where I'm like, we need to pull back. Both of us. It's not even just me, but it's both of us, right? And then part of your social system and environment is what they could deem as like normal, right? So like they go get takeout all the time. They're constantly out all night long. They talk like shit about themselves. Like, oh, I can't believe you go to the gym, or like, oh yeah, look at my fat roll, or oh my God, I could never get healthy like you. And it takes a lot of effort to not be that way. And so if your social system and your environment is constantly like that, it's going to be very difficult for you to move forward with where you want to go to. Okay. Let's see. Oh, what else? All right. So the next thing we're going to talk about is how your schedule environment plays a role here. I kind of talked about this with my one client where her schedule, she works long hours. The gym is not close to her. So it's an additional 30-minute drive for her at the end of the day. Right. When every hour is already accounted for, and you're not home, that means your hours, let's say you work Monday through Friday. Let's say you're at work from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. by the time you get home. Maybe it's even 7 or 8 p.m. if you go to the gym, right? This means that the first things that are going to go, because you're tired, you're exhausted, you're over it, you're hit the fuck a button, you didn't plan, you don't care about tracking your food, you don't give a shit what kind of protein you're eating, right? The first thing to go are those healthy habits, because again, our brain is just I need this right now, I need this right now, and I need this right now. Okay. And we have to be really, really careful about those being the first things to go. So if you don't work on the weekends, but you know your week is insane and you don't take the time to meal prep, that's a fucking problem, right? Maybe you need to tell somebody else no over the weekend so that you can be meal prepping, or invite that person who invited you to go do something. Hey, I'm going to meal prep. Do you want to meal prep or ingredient prep with me this weekend? I would love to have company doing that. Do you have any great ideas that we could do together, right? Try that instead, right? The other thing that's really hard, I watch my husband, is shift work. Woo! Okay. Shift work will wreck your circadian rhythm. It'll fuck up your hunger cues, and your recovery is shit. My husband runs on I don't even know, no sleep. I don't even know how he does it half the time. It's pretty wild. I'm not even going to lie. It's pretty fucking wild. So this makes it really difficult to even track your food. The shift work, or if you are a caregiver of some kind, it makes it really hard to stay as consistent as possible because you're everywhere. So I'll give you an example with my husband specifically. He, okay, so last night was Monday. Last night was Monday. So Monday, he worked from 5 a.m. about 6 a.m., but he's up at 4:30. So he's up from 4:30. He went to bed. We went to bed around 10:30. He came home, went to bed, he came home, went to bed. He woke up today at 4:30, went into work, came home at almost 4 o'clock. By the time he got here, it was 3:30-ish, 3:30. Went to bed. Actually, he did some work first, went to bed sometime between 4 and 4:30. He will get up at 8:45 this evening, and he will work from 10 p.m. Tuesday night until 4 p.m. essentially when he gets home tomorrow, Wednesday. Okay. So, and then he does that on a Friday into Saturday, or a Thursday into Friday as well. So anyways, it's a lot of hours and it's not a lot of sleep in between, and it makes it very difficult. So what's getting messed up? His hunger cues are fucked. He has no time to move his body because he's sleeping when he can. And even when he's not sleeping, he's fucking exhausted. Okay. And then his sleep is just shit. So his cravings are higher, or his care is lower. He just doesn't care. Right. And then your digital, right? So scheduling time, all the time I hear, I have no time. I don't have time. I remember there was one person in group coaching once. She's like, I have no time. And then I found out she spends an hour in the morning, an hour at lunch, and an hour in the evening on her phone. So it's just 3 hours at that one time playing one game. That was 3 hours playing one game. Okay. When we start auditing what our time actually looks like, our time environment, our schedule environment, we're like, oh shit. Okay. It does matter, and start paying attention to that. Again, awareness is key here. Awareness is going to be key, especially how many times you catch yourself doom scrolling and stuff. A lot, myself included. All right. There's a hair flying around. I don't know. Okay. The next thing we're going to talk about is our emotional environment, right? Chronic stress. Who's not living under chronic stress right now, right? So chronic stress at work, at home, for school, for children, right? We can increase craving for these. We typically like the calorie-dense food. We want things that are quick. We want things that are easy. And those kinds of things can the stress alone will stunt your care for anything else. It will take over the entire body. Okay. And then like going to the gym because you're afraid about what people think of you. That's the emotional environment. Even though it is a part of the physical environment, going to the gym, this part is the emotional side of maybe you feel uncomfortable at the gym because you're afraid that you don't know what you're doing. People are going to look at you, or you're too big and you don't want people to look at you. Unfortunately, that is an internal issue. And while I will say there are a few people that might care, the majority is not. The majority is not giving a flying shit what you're doing. They're there for themselves. And that's that. Alrighty. So the last one we're going to talk about is your cultural environment. And this is like your workplace, and the place that you live. Okay. So workplace, when we talk about, I kind of mentioned it before, is like the person, like your social environment, but that includes your workplace. So people bringing in the free donuts. I will say I do a ton of networking events, and it's always, happy hour. Let's go to this place and network, and let's go to that place and network. Excuse me. And so, excuse me. Whew. So you don't like really have a lot of choices there, and everybody else is doing it. So you're going to do it again. That goes back to that social environment, but specifically in the workplace, right? So when people are offering you and they bring in whatever cake for so-and-so's birthday, or like I said before, like donuts or whatever snacks, sweets and treats, bowls of candy, leftover this, whatever, it makes it really difficult, right? Then you also have your environment, your cultural environment around your living area, right? So your neighborhoods, parks, we talk about like move more. It's like, well, it can be really difficult. So like my neighborhood has no sidewalks, which was something that was really hard for me when I first moved here. I'm trying to think, in Alaska, I did. Okay. So minus living in Portugal, which that's Europe, and I'm not really including that. I've never lived in a place that didn't have a sidewalk. This is the first time I've ever lived somewhere where there's no sidewalks. And I was really nervous, even just with my kids, like riding their bikes and, even going on a walk. You're in the road, you're in the street. And that can be really apprehensive for people. And I've started, like when I first started walking around my neighborhood, I'd always walk with 2 headphones in or earbuds in. And now I only walk with 1. And now the earbuds themselves actually kind of make my ears hurt, but I don't want to walk with your headphones on because mine are like noise canceling. I don't want noise canceling. I need to be able to hear if like somebody's coming up behind me or there's a car or whatever the case is, right? So this can sabotage your progress, right? So all of these things, I feel like I've said right 100 times, my bad. Sorry to get a sore throat here a little bit, but I didn't bring my water back here. So all of these things about how your environment can self-sabotage you. So we talk a lot about like, how do we do better even in these situations, right? So here's where I come together, right? Okay, if I say right one more time, I'm going to be annoyed with myself. We want to make sure that our counters are cleared off. Put things away where they need to be so that they're not so easily accessible, okay? We want to maybe start changing who our social circle is. Maybe we need to say no to people that we are not making good choices around, and that can be really hard, or invite them to make better choices with you. Like, hey, instead of going to this, let's try going to this. Or, hey, it really bothers me when you say things like, ooh, I can't believe you work out that much. Or like, you express how you feel in a polite way and just say, hey, maybe one time you want to come to the gym with me. Oh, no? Okay, that's fine. Right? Doing an audit of our time and our schedule. Like, if you know you have a crazy ass fucking week, then you need to be able to meal prep on the weekend so you can be prepared for the week ahead. That is just going to be essential for your success. Okay. Also, your emotional environment here, as we talked about, stress, not feeling necessarily safe to go somewhere. Those things are going to sabotage the shit out of could be just in general, like normal progress, or it could prevent you from doing things that you need to do in order to get where you want to go, right? So what does your entire day look like, right? We are not going to survive on willpower alone. Okay. Those of us that think that willpower is the answer, it's not the answer. Okay. What we have to do is create the path for us to get, and we have to be visibly able to see it. It cannot be some like hazy ass shit where it's like, I really need glasses because I can't see anything and I can kind of sort of make things out. That's when we fail. I don't want to say fail, but that's when we self-sabotage. That's when we try to find the easiest thing and go to the easiest way, okay? So what does your day look like? From the time you wake up to the time you get your breakfast to the time you hit your work, what happens between then and lunch and end of day when you see your kids to dinner time to nighttime. Like, what is it? What does that look like? And where do you feel like you go off course? Where do you feel like you're like, Zhoo. Oh man. Because if you could start pinpointing it, you're like, okay, I can do this, right? Then you want to label the obstacle that's getting in your way. Where you start going off course. Is this physical, social, time, emotional, or what's the last one? Cultural. Okay. Which one is this, right? Then you're going to pick one, low-hanging fruit. Okay. Is it you pre-log your lunch? You pre-pack your lunch. You move chips to the garage. You ask somebody to store the candy in a different container or in a different space in your office or whatever that looks like. You ask your husband for support, your spouse for support. You say, I need this from you. Can you help me here? Okay. Pick one that doesn't take a lot of energy or thought process and handle it. Okay. And then you're going to go over every single week and be like, okay, how did that go? It worked. It did not work. Or maybe, on day 2, it's like, oh, that did not fucking work at all. Like, oh, moving things from the counter to the pantry didn't work. From the pantry eye level to way up top didn't work. Maybe I need to take them to the basement, right? Have you ever been like the person that's like, man, I really want this, but I don't want to get up. Okay. If it's easily accessible, you're going to get up to get it. If you have to go to the basement to get it, you're probably not going to get it. And I know not everybody has a basement, but we have a basement in Michigan, right? So what type of environmental friction shows up the most for you? I would love to hear it. So if you wanted to respond to, oh, there is a hair here. Okay. If you would like to respond in the comment section, I'd love to hear, but what shows up the most for you? Okay. What shows up the most for you? I'd love to hear your thoughts. I hope you guys are having a great week so far. I'm hoping my week settles down a little bit, to be honest. And I will be here on Friday No Filter. Okay. I think that's it. All right, guys. Have a good rest of your day. Catch you on the next episode.